Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to cut right through all the hype and give you a real, straightforward guide to warehouse robotics. This is for the founders and operators out there who need actual answers, not just buzzwords.
Look, if you're an operator, you're living this every day. The pressure is just relentless. Customers want everything faster, good labor is hard to find, and you've got to be more efficient just to keep up. So the big question is automation really the answer? Okay, let's get into it.
First things first, let's just map out the landscape. You're basically looking at 5 main categories of robots that you'll run into, and each one is built to do a very different job inside the 4 walls of your facility.
So think of an AGV like a train on a track. I mean, this is a proven old-school tech. We're talking it's been around since 1953. And it's fantastic for those simple, super repetitive jobs, just moving something from point A to point B over and over again.
AMRs, now they're a different beast entirely. They're more like a taxi in a busy city. They can actually plan their own routes, and if something's in the way, they just navigate around it in real time. That makes them way, way more adaptable. And this is what's so cool. You see how they're all working together like a team? That's all coordinated through software. You don't have to rip up your floor to install physical tracks. And that right there, that's the secret to their flexibility.
Okay, robotic sorters. These are basically the air traffic controllers for your packages. They seriously crank up the speed and accuracy of getting your products to the right shipping lane, and they pretty much eliminate those really expensive shipping mistakes. ASRS is all about going up. It's about maximizing every inch of your vertical space. A lot of times these systems are part of what's called a goods-to-person setup. And that's a huge deal because it can slash the amount of time your workers spend walking by up to 75%. The inventory comes to them. And finally, we've got cobots. The name kind of gives it away, right? Collaborative robots. They're literally built to work right alongside your human team, taking over the boring, repetitive, or strenuous stuff like packing boxes. And they can often do it without any of those big safety cages. So let's get into what is probably the biggest decision you're going to face when it comes to just moving stuff around. The old school AGV versus the flexible AMR. And trust me, this choice is a big one. It's going to define how your entire operation flows. It really all boils down to one word: flexibility. The AGV, our train, it follows its track, period. If someone leaves a pallet in the aisle, it just stops, dead. And that one little blockage can bring an entire line to a grinding halt. The AMR, our taxi, it just finds a way around it. Simple as that. Now, that's not to say AGVs are bad. Not at all. If your workflow is super predictable, like you're always moving pallets from receiving to the exact same storage area, then that rigid structure is actually a huge plus. It's simple and it's incredibly reliable. But if your operation is more like controlled chaos, e-commerce with thousands of different products and orders changing all the time, then the AMR's ability to adapt on the fly, well, that's a total game changer. And this table just lays out the trade-offs perfectly. Take a look at the cost profile. Yeah, the AGV unit itself might be cheaper to buy, but then you got to pay a ton of money to install all that infrastructure. With AMRs, the robot is more expensive up front, but you get to skip that whole painful, costly installation process. And that leads to this really crucial point. If you have an existing warehouse, what we in the industry call a brownfield facility, AMRs are just so much easier and faster to get up and running. You can roll them out without having to shut everything down for a massive renovation. Okay, let's talk about what every founder and operator really wants to know. The bottom line, the numbers. What kind of return on investment can you actually expect? And, just as important, what are the hidden risks you need to be ready for? Let's start with space. An automated storage and retrieval system, an AS/RS, can cut the amount of floor space you need by up to 85%. Just think about that for a second. That means you could grow your business without having to find a bigger building. That's a massive savings on real estate. Next up, accuracy. We're talking about getting your inventory accuracy up to 99.9%. That practically eliminates the costs from mispicks and lost items, and it's a huge reason why you can see labor cost savings in the ballpark of 30 to 50%. So you add it all up, the space savings, the insane accuracy, and what do you get? A direct impact on your bottom line. It is very common to see a 15 to 20% drop in your operational costs in the very first year. And the payback period on your investment? You could get all your money back in as little as 12 to 36 months. But okay, let's be real. This isn't some magic wand you can just wave and solve all your problems. To give you the full, honest picture, we have to talk about the catch. We have to talk about what happens when things go wrong. Take a cobot, for instance. It's a machine. It's got moving parts that wear out over time. Joints can get a little bit loose, sensors can drift out of calibration. These are small things, but they can cause big production problems if you just ignore them. So the big takeaway here is that a proactive maintenance plan isn't optional. It's absolutely essential. So with all that in mind, how do you actually apply this to your business? How do you figure out what's right for you? Well, let's walk through a super simple framework to help you think it through. Just ask yourself these 3 basic questions. 1, is my environment pretty static, or is it always changing? 2, is my workflow fixed and predictable, or is it highly variable? And 3, am I starting from scratch in a new building, or am I putting this tech into my existing facility? The answers to those questions, they're going to point you right to the solution you need. Because at the end of the day, remember, the goal isn't just to buy automation. The goal is to get the right automation for your operation, for your team, and for your bottom line. Robotics isn't some sci-fi dream anymore. It's a real tool that gets real results, but only when you match the right tool to the right job. So that's the tech you can put to work today. But where is all of this heading? What's the logical extreme? In our next explainer, we're going to take a look at the future, the dark warehouse, a facility that can run completely on its own with the lights off.